Welcome back to the Airline Pilot Q&A with FlyJV. Okay, in today's video, I will be answering your long-awaited questions. As I've told you in the previous Q&A, you had to leave your questions in that Q&A, and it's going to be the same thing for this video. You're going to be leaving your questions for the next Q&A in this comment section down below, okay? Right here, nowhere else. If you want your questions answered, make sure you ask your question down here in the comment sections so I can answer them in the next Q&A. Before we start this video, I want to ask you guys to follow me on social media. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, okay, and Twitter, as you can see down here. On Instagram, I've been doing some live streams for the past few weeks. I've had a live stream last week where I talked to the FlyJV crew for 30 to 40 minutes while I was in business class in my seat on a flight, and it was amazing. We talked to each other for 30-40 minutes. I answered questions. It was a fun time. So if you want to get in on that action, make sure you follow me on Instagram. Make sure you follow me on Twitter if you want some motivational quotes and see what I post on there as well. So now, without further ado, let's get into it. If you don't know me, I am FlyJV, the coolest pilot on YouTube. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the bell notifications. Okay, let's get into these questions, man, shall we? Okay, so FlyJV, what is the biggest plane you've flown, and where do you go to flight school? Where'd you go to flight school? So the biggest plane I've flown is the plane I'm currently on right now. It is the Airbus A320, and I went to FTE Jerez. If you don't know, that school is a school in Europe, more precisely in Spain, and you can find out more information about it on my video on how to become a pilot. I have 2 episodes of these, episode 3 coming soon as well. And yeah. No Sense RT asks, do you get air travel discounts? Can you rent out a plane to take family trips or make money on the side by working private flights? Do you get air travel discounts? Yes. How it works, I've talked about it on my previous video, but I'll say it again here. You get discounts for your friends and family. Certain airlines don't allow friends to have discounts, only family. But basically you get discounts for family and for yourself, obviously. Free tickets on your own airline as long as there are available seats on the flight, because obviously passengers always have the priority when they've paid the full price. And you get discounts on affiliated airlines with your current airline. So if your airline has partnerships with certain airlines, you can get either free tickets on there as well, or you can get like a big discount. So that's how it works. Can you rent out a plane to take your family on trips or make money on the side? Yes, you can. So you can have your own aircraft, or you can rent an aircraft to fly your friends and your family to wherever you want to go to. If you want to make money flying people, you need to have a CPL. The CPL is the minimum requirement you need as a pilot to be able to make money or reward for flying people. Okay, so make sure you have a CPL. If you have a PPL, it's illegal for you to fly people for money. Okay. Train Fine Ass. I'm in university studying aviation engineering BSc and want to join the military for some years until I'm 30 or so. Do you think airline companies and flight school appreciate prior military service, not as a military pilot, and a university engineering degree? 100%. This is going to give you amazing credentials. It's going to be a great background for you to have before you get into flight school, and they're definitely going to appreciate and look at that fact thoroughly before they even accept you. It's going to be amazing, especially if you have an engineering degree, if you've been in the military before, because it says a lot about your mindset, the way you think, and your maturity as well, because you will have done things before going to flight school. So like I like to say to people, you don't need to go to university or don't need to do anything after high school before you get into airline, before you get into a flight school. But if you can do something before, it is always going to be a plus. So yeah, for sure, that is a great thing that you can do. How are languages important for a pilot? I speak 4 languages, learning a 5th at the moment, but necessary as a pilot is only English. Languages are important. The most important thing is English. If you speak English, you're covered, you're good, okay? Because English is the centerpiece of communication in aviation. Every pilot in the world who works for an airline needs to be able to speak English at least. Okay, now the importance of other languages starts coming when you start working abroad, you start working in other countries for national flag carriers in other airlines. So for example, let's say I go to work in Iberia, for example, I will need to have at least ICAO level 4 of Spanish to be able to work there. If I want to go work for Air France, I will need to have at least a level 4 ICAO French to be able to work there. So English is always implied. You always need to be able to speak English, but if you go to these airlines, you will also need to have level 4 at that language from that country. Okay, so think of it that way. It's always a plus to have other languages, but the mandatory one is English. Josh 104, biggest thing that motivates you when you were studying to become a pilot? The job itself, the promise of an amazing job, the views, being able to fly an airliner. It was always my dream to do it, so like just the dream by itself was enough motivation for me to like keep pushing. Lino 1902, did you ever were afraid of crashing? No. God of War, is being a pilot always scary, or does the fear just go after enough hours of flying? Well, it's not really fear, it's more nerves, because you're like, okay, I'm led by myself, I need to be able to do this on my own, okay? But no, it's not scary. It's, yeah, like I said, it's nerves. It goes away after a few flights. You know, it's all about repetition and practice. The more you do it, the easier it becomes, like everything else in life, you know. So yeah. Epic Gamer, what do you recommend for early flights, like 5 a.m. routines? I recommend you wake up, okay? You wake up before the wake up time that your airline is going to set for you, because if you wake up at that wake up time, you're going to feel very rushed, okay? Wake up, if I wake up really early, what I will do, if I've had enough sleep, I will wake up probably like an hour before. I will take a shower, have a coffee, do a morning workout. So what I will do is I will do like 3 sets of 10 pike push-ups, 3 sets of 10 diamond push-ups, 3 sets of 10 normal push-ups, and normally that's going to be enough for me. Like sometimes I don't even do all of that. Sometimes I'll just do the first 2 exercises and I'll be good. And then I'll take my time, you know, get ready, everything, look at everything again from the flight, what I need to do for the flight, etc. And that's pretty much it. I'll go downstairs, get some breakfast, and make sure that I don't feel rushed. Because the problem with these early starts is if you wait to actually wake up at 5 a.m., you're in the middle of your circadian rhythm. So if you wake up at that time, first of all, you're gonna feel disoriented. You're gonna need more time to be able to be accustomed to being awake. So wake up earlier so you can be fresh when you get into that cockpit and do that flight. Okay, so that's my recommendation for you. You can watch my morning routine video as well. And yeah. Alexis Vidal Basaldua. I would like to be a commercial pilot. I dream of being one since I have a reason, but unfortunately for economic reasons I cannot. How did you pay for all your aviation courses? That's a question I get a lot. For my aviation courses, the way I did it is I had family savings on one side and a bank loan on the other side. So we used both of these to be able to fund my airline training. So it's the best way of doing it, I believe. Obviously, if you want to become a pilot, a lot of times it's preparation. You know, me, I knew I wanted to become a pilot since I was a kid, like since I was very young. So my parents had enough time to be able to save for that on the side. It's just like saving for university as well, you know. So they had enough time to be able to prepare for that in terms of savings, and for the rest, we just got the bank loan, did half on that approximately, and then when you're done with your flight school, when you start getting a job and everything like that, you can take your time to repay that loan that you took with the bank. So that is the best thing I can say to you. However, there's another option, there's another solution, is to get an airline sponsorship. It's not always a given and it's not always available for you, especially right now with the COVID times, but an airline sponsorship would be the best of both worlds, because if you have an airline sponsorship, basically you will get your whole scholarship paid for by the airline, and you will have the promise of a job at the end, okay? And basically you can't go wrong with that. It's just literally the best thing you can get. Matseyo asks, same question as above. Yes, that's done. Moine Hubert, awesome video, keep going. Did you do your theoretical ATPL in English? Yes, I did. And you advise to do it in English? Yes, I do. It is the best way of doing it. If you do it in another language, make sure you speak English well enough to be able to work anywhere afterwards, because if you don't do it in English, you're going to be very like disoriented when you get into an airline that it does everything in English, and you've learned everything, all your basics from like French or Spanish or something like that, you know? So yeah. John B asks, what is your schedule like? That's a very difficult question to answer because it changes a lot every single month. But basically, I would say, you know, you get certain flights that are set in stone. You get some reserve days where basically you should be available for your airline to call you in case you're needed. And you get some days of rest, and you get some of your flights that get switched around and changed before the date actually arrives. Okay, so if I had to give you an estimate, I would say during the week I have at least 5 days where I fly. Sometimes less, sometimes more, it really depends. And I would say on average I do I'd say 50 to 70, 75 hours a month, something like that, average. Okay, it depends on the month, it depends on the needs, it depends on a lot of things that are outside of my control. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope that helps. Maxime Keita, just curious, in the US they require us to have 1,500 hours to fly for the regionals, and after a couple of years to move to the mainline. The airline that you work for to hire with ATP Frozen, for hire with ATP Frozen, is it the same 1,500 hours? Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. As you know, I am in Africa right now. I'm based in Africa right now, but the thing is, in Europe and in Africa, it is very different from how it is in the US. Okay, in Europe and in Africa, you have the opportunity as an ATPL, full ATPL student with Frozen ATPL, to get a job just out of flight school. Okay, certain airlines like, for example, EasyJet, Ryanair, and other low-cost airlines will hire you with low hours. In Africa, it's the same thing. A lot of new fly carriers hire people with less experience, as long as they have a good background, they have good recommendations from their school, and they just have a good track record overall. Me, for example, I got my job straight out of flight school. I didn't have 1,500 hours, but the people who I did the interviews and the whole selection process with, they saw my grades, they saw my file, they saw I was doing good, they saw I had recommendations, and I was like, okay, we're gonna do an exception and hire you, because first of all, we know how good the reputation of your school is, number one, and second of all, they had done this for other people in the past from my school. Actually, I'm not the only person from my school to have done that airline at that time, and yeah, so they look at everything matters. So the fact that, like, in Europe and Africa, like I was saying, the fact that you don't have hours and that you don't have that much experience is compensated by the work you've been putting in, okay? How good you've been working. You know, so it's a must to be excellent as in flight school to be able to get a job straight out of flight school. If you're non-experienced and you have bad grades as well in flight school, and you don't have recommendation, people don't say you're a good pilot, you know, you're a good student, etc., that's tough for you. You're gonna have to go through a much more difficult time, okay? El Canal de Chris, congrats on 50K subscribers. Keep doing videos. Thank you, bro. What mathematics are necessary to become a pilot? The most important subjects in school that you need to become a pilot are the following: physics, math, and English. That's the most important, because that's what you will mostly use as a pilot during flight school and during your airline pilot career as well. So make sure you take these subjects seriously, so you can prepare yourself mentally before you go to an airline, okay? Rafael Karim, my question is, do you ever have a day off? Obviously, yes, bro, I do. Let me read more on that. And many flights, how many flights do you do in a day? Well, basically, it depends on the day, but it can go up to 4 flights. I've had a day where I've done 5 flights. I think that's the max I've done, either 5 or 6, I don't remember. That's the max I've done, because there is such a thing as a maximum flight duty time. So there's a certain number of hours you should not fly more than during the day, okay? And so I don't want to get into the details, but basically, the more sectors you do in a day, the less this maximum time becomes. Like, you start to subtract 30 minutes every flight you do after the 3rd flight. Maxwell Raver, thanks for making this blah blah. How long did it take you to go from no experience to a first officer? I'm guessing what you're saying is, like, as a student, maybe. So from the time I started flight school to becoming a first officer, it took about 2 years, a little bit over 2 years. Okay, LD Salihi asks, do you need perfect grades in elementary school or high school to be accepted in flight school? You don't need perfect grades, you just need to be a little bit above average. Some flight schools will take you off your average as well, okay? Thanks a lot for this Q&A, you're welcome, man. Piyush Sharma, is different aircraft and airlines have different salary for the pilots? Yes, it depends on the aircraft you're flying, and it depends on the airline you're in, like I said in the last video I made. Saif Diab, have you ever flown to Dubai before? I have never flown to Dubai. It would be my pleasure to go to Dubai. I'd love to do that. I have not been there before, man. I plan to go there very, very soon. So stay tuned for vlogs. Okay, Nadim Stemeyin asks, which flight school do you recommend in France or maybe somewhere else? In France, I would recommend either ENAC if you're French or ESMA. And in Europe, I would recommend CTC, CAE Oxford, or FTE. EvoCast, FlyJV, is it possible for the wheels to burst upon landing? I mean, it is possible if you apply too much brakes. So for example, you have something called auto brake max on the Airbus A320 for rejected takeoffs when you take off. And if you let the brakes go to the auto brake max during the whole rejected takeoff, they will probably burst, to be honest, okay? If you know, how are plane wheels built and do they ever get replaced, changed? Yes, they get replaced and they get changed. I don't really know how they are built. I mean, this is not really my area of expertise, but yeah, they do get changed and everything. You have to check the brake wear indicator, and depending on how long or how short that brake wear indicator is, you can know that that wheel needs to be replaced very soon. The brakes need to be replaced very soon. So that's how it works, okay? All right. Suhas Aki, have you ever done an emergency landing, like one engine down, as in the movies? No, I have not, but I have done it in the simulator, okay? In the simulator, you have done everything and you've experienced anything, man. But not in real life. I've never done that in real life. The worst thing I've had in real life was a rejected takeoff when I was in flight school, and yeah. X Neon, I'm Spanish, but I will be a pilot. But a lot of people here tell me things only for be black and have no good qualifications. You can tell me things to hard more work to be like you. Okay, I'm guessing what you're saying is you're Spanish, and a lot of people are telling you you don't have the qualification because you're black. Forget what other people are saying. Like, there's really not much I can tell you except you need to really like get used to this, because people are gonna be on you, and you have to really disregard what they say. You really need to disregard what they say, or you will not be able to live your life, my friend. Go for it. I support you. Philip Prox asks, how could I start flying gliders when I'm young? What age is best to start flying gliders? Well, I started flying gliders when I was 16. You can start flying gliders by finding an airfield that flies gliders in the vicinity of your area. If you have it in your city, that's great. If you don't, try to call the nearest one and try to book a time where you can go there and maybe like spend a few weeks on there. Like, a lot of times they have accommodation there, so you can sleep on site, and you'll be able to just like be with the team, be with the crew over there, do activities, eat together, and fly together. So that's basically how it works. So you need to call a center. You need to make your research online for the glider airfields that are around your area. Joabel Killen asks, despite of your busy schedule, how would you deal with other priorities like family, girlfriend, and such? P.S. I love you. Love you too, Joabel. So to answer your question, you know, at the end of the day, it's always about priorities. You know, like, you have to create your own priorities and find what's important for you. If you have a girlfriend, I mean, you want to spend some time with her as much as possible. Take her out, you know, do some activities together, go out, go watch movies, go to restaurants, enjoy life, spend time together, watch Netflix, whatever it is. Just spend some time together when you can, and be spontaneous. And the reason I say be spontaneous is because basically there's a lot of times where you're not going to be at home, and there's a lot of times where you can have flights without knowing so beforehand. So you need to basically just make sure you're a spontaneous person who can make plans on the fly, so that when you get caught off guard with a flight, you've already done what you wanted to do. Okay, same thing with family. You know, see your family as much as possible. Call them, call your family, speak to them, text them from time to time, and yeah, see them when you can. It's always the same thing. It's all about priorities, man. How high of a priority are they to you? Put them high in your list of priorities, and everything is going to work out fine. Obviously, you're not going to be here all the time, but just communication is always a good thing. Let game. Does it need height to be a pilot? And if we have wheezing, can we be a pilot? Height, okay, so the minimum height to become a pilot is 5'4", and the maximum height is 6'6", and these are basically made as a way to make sure that the pilots can reach the controls and the rudder from their seat, okay? So if you're 5'4", you might be too short to reach the pedals. If you're 6'6", you might be too long to be able to like function properly inside of the cockpit, even with maxed out settings, okay? So that's how it works. Oof. XH12A1 asks, can the passenger jump seat in the cockpit from the start of the flight till the end? The answer is yes, it depends on the captain. 2, what subjects do you have to learn to become a pilot? Math, physics, English mainly. 3, do pilots get free rental cars? Not that I know of. 4, from high school, what's the path for you to go to flight school? For me, I went to university and then I went to flight school. For you, it can be whatever you want. You do not need to go to university first, but like I said before, it will give you a good background in your head to be able to go there. 5, do pilots get free parking at their home airport? As far as I'm concerned, we do not. 6, do pilots get taxed? Yes, like any other job. 7, how does it get picked for which airline you work for? It doesn't get picked, you pick. You apply and you get the job or you don't. 8, how do you pay for flight school if you don't have a lot of money? I've answered that already. 9, do pilots get discounted in most things they buy? Not in most things that they buy. They only get discounted in everything that has to do with their own airline and the hotels and everything that's affiliated to the airline. So let's say today I go to a hotel and I'm on a layover and I want to get some room service, or I want to maybe book an additional reservation in that hotel. I can get a discount because my airline is affiliated there and I'm an employee for that airline. Also, if I want to eat, I want to drink, I get discounts on there as well. Breakfast is free and things of that nature, okay? When it comes to buying things in airports and in the aircraft, it's the same thing as any other passenger. You don't pay the taxes, it's duty free, but that's how it works. 10, do you need a second language to become a pilot? I've answered that above. You do not need to. English is the most important thing. 11, what do you need to have an FFDO? How long does it take? An FFDO stands for Federal Flight Deck Officer. It is basically a US only thing, so you need to be so basically what it is a right for an airline pilot to carry an arm, a weapon basically, inside of the aircraft. So your jurisdiction is the cabin plus the cockpit, and how it works is you need to be a US FAA license holder, you need to have an FAA medical, and you need to be a US based airline pilot for a carrier in the United States, okay? And basically you need to have your airline working as part of a Part 121. Part 121 is flag carrier and domestic operations basically. So if you're part of that, you have all the prerequisites. They will do a background check and they will train you accordingly in federal law enforcement training centers, and you will be trained by Air Marshal Service instructors. So I hope that answers your questions. Guys, this is the end of this video. Thank you so much for your attention. I will give you another Q&A next time. Now, make sure before you leave this video that you join the FlyJV Discord server so we can talk to each other in real time. We can talk with the FlyJV crew and just have a good time 24/7. The link to the Discord is in the description down below. Okay, make sure you leave a like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you are new. And that's it, man. Don't forget to check me out on social media, Instagram for the live chats that I'm going to be doing, Instagram for the new posts, and Twitter as well, where I'll be posting quotes and motivating you guys for more in all things aviation. It's your boy FlyJV, the coolest pilot on YouTube, and I am out, bro. FlyJV forever.
When it's so hot, I put the focus on going to green, breaking it up. Cooking the blueprint on top of my brain. I drip pull up with a vision. JV is off for the greats. I put the team on my back. I hit the block with a plan. Dominated, then I ran cause it's on to the next. Catch me in front of the plane. I cannot stop cause my drive is insane. Mentally standing on top of a crane. I'm in the front of my lane. JV be pushing and pushing till top of the game. I'm touched by the rain. I am the storm. I just be taking and grinding. I taking that grinding off. Women so hard. I don't know why. I just be flying the plane till I die. I wanna ball till I fall. I always answer the call. I got the wrath and the patience and fury. Whipping and whipping, I'm cooking, I cook it. I'm putting the game in the casket, revive it to kill it again.